Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be looking at something pretty interesting. It's all about how a company's efforts to, be a good citizen, like all those social responsibility initiatives, how all that can actually have some pretty surprising effects on their employees.
Yeah, it's kind of like a chain reaction. It's not just about companies like writing checks or planting trees. It's really about how employees see those actions,
Well,
what we call perceived CSR. And that can trigger a whole bunch of different things.
okay, so perceived CSR. So it's less about what they do and more about how it's seen by the people working there.
Exactly. Imagine like two companies. Okay, they both donate $1 million to charity, but one of them is like shouting it from the rooftops. But like behind the scenes, they treat their employees terribly. And the other company, they just quietly make the donation. But they have an amazing reputation for taking care of their people.
Gotcha. So it's like actions speak louder than words,
Right.
especially when it comes to how employees feel about the company they work for.
Exactly. And there's research that shows that this perceived CSR can really have a big impact on employee emotions, specifically how proud they are of their organization.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah,
If you feel like your company's actually doing good in the world, you'd probably feel pretty good about working there.
totally. We all want to be a part of something bigger than ourselves, something we can be proud of. And when employees see their company doing good, it reflects on them too. Like they're sharing in that positive impact.
So it's not just like a feel-good thing. It's actually like boosting their self-esteem and social standing.
Yeah, exactly. And that pride that they feel isn't just temporary, it can lead to something much bigger, something we call organizational embeddedness.
Organizational embeddedness.
Hmm.
Whoa, that sounds kind of intense. What exactly does that mean?
Just think of it like the feeling of being super connected to your work, your colleagues in the company's mission. Is that feeling of truly belonging.
Hmm.
Like you're a valued member of the team, like that coworker we all have, the one who bleeds the company colors, volunteers for everything, really believes in what the company's doing.
Right. They're all in.
Yeah,
They're not
exactly.
just going through the motions. So how does pride actually lead to this whole embeddedness thing?
Well, when you're proud of where you work, you're more likely to be loyal and committed to the company. You're more willing to put in the extra effort to handle tough times because you actually believe in what you're doing and you believe in the people you're doing it with.
So pride strengthens the bond between the employee and the company.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really interesting for businesses because that embeddedness, it's directly linked to lower employee turnover. People who feel like they really belong are more likely to stick around.
Wait, so companies can actually save money on like hiring and training
Yeah.
just by creating a culture of pride through their social responsibility efforts.
That's the power of perceived CSR.
Wow. Okay. I'm starting to see why we're doing a deep dive on this. This is more than just some feel-good corporate stuff. This has some real implications for both employees and the companies.
Totally. And the research is pretty clear on this. Multiple studies have shown this same chain reaction across all kinds of industries and company sizes.
Okay, but what if companies just try to fake it? What if they put on this big show of doing good, but behind the scenes, it's business as usual? Do you think employees will be able to see through that?
That's a great question. And it's something we should definitely look at more closely. It all comes down to authenticity and transparency, which is something we can get into in part 2 of our deep dive. Oh yeah, you're right to be a little skeptical about this whole thing. Employees aren't stupid. They can usually tell when a company's just faking it, just trying to make themselves look good.
So how do companies avoid that trap? How can they make sure their CSR efforts actually seem genuine and not just like a PR stunt?
Well, it really comes down to actually doing what they say they'll do, walking the walk. It's not enough to just like slap a label on their products or send out some press releases about their donations. They have to actually live these values, make it part of their company culture.
Okay, so what does that look like in reality?
Well, for one thing, it means being open about their CSR initiatives. Share info with their employees about the causes they're supporting, how things are progressing, and even the challenges they're facing.
So make the employees feel like they're part of the process.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just sharing info. It's about giving employees a voice, a chance to actually participate in shaping the company's CSR efforts. For example, some companies let their employees vote on which charities to support, or they give them paid time off to volunteer.
Ah, so it's a team effort.
Yeah, exactly. When employees feel like they have a say, like their opinions matter, they're much more likely to buy into the company's CSR initiatives. And it makes those initiatives more authentic because they actually reflect what the employees care about.
It's a win-win. Employees feel more engaged, And the company's CSR efforts are more meaningful.
Right. And there's another important piece to this whole thing, aligning their CSR efforts with their core business operations. Finding ways to incorporate their social and environmental commitments into what they do every day.
Okay, give me an example.
Sure, let's say you're a clothing company, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just like donating some of your profits to environmental causes, you could also try to use sustainable materials,
Hmm.
reduce waste in your production,
Hmm.
and improve working conditions in your supply chain.
So it's not just doing something good on the side. It's about making social responsibility part of your business model.
Exactly. Doing good while doing well, having a positive impact on the world while still achieving business goals.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it's not just checking boxes. It's about making CSR part of the company's DNA.
Right. And that kind of authenticity resonates with employees. It shows them that the company really cares, and that's what creates real pride and loyalty.
So we've talked about transparency, employee involvement, and aligning CSR with core business practices. Anything else companies should be thinking about?
One more thing, storytelling. Don't be afraid to share the stories behind your CSR initiatives. Highlight the positive impact you're having, the people you're helping, the difference you're making in the world.
So instead of just saying, we donated this much money to this charity, tell the story of how that donation actually helped people.
Exactly, because stories connect with people. They evoke emotions and inspire action. They make the impact of your CSR efforts real and relatable.
This has been really eye-opening, but now I'm wondering, what about us, the listeners? What can we actually do with this knowledge?
That's a great question. And the perfect way to lead into the final part of our deep dive. We'll talk about how this research can empower you, whether you're an employee, a job seeker, or just someone who wants to make a difference.
So we've been talking about this link between a company's social responsibility
Mm-hmm.
and, how their employees feel about it, their sense of pride, belonging, and how likely they are to, stay with the company.
Right. And now the big question is, what can you actually do with all this?
Yeah, how can our listeners use this in their own lives?
Well, let's say you're looking for a new job.
Ooh, that's me, always on the lookout.
You can use this research to your advantage. Don't just skim the About Us section on their website. Really dig in and look for evidence of their CSR commitments.
Okay, like what kind of stuff?
Check their website, social media news articles. Do they have a sustainability report? Do they talk about their community work? And more importantly, do their actions actually match their words?
Right, you don't want to end up at a company that just talks a good game.
Exactly. You want to see that they're actually making social responsibility part of their everyday work.
So do some detective work to see if their CSR is legit.
Exactly. And if you're already at a company, you can use this to make a difference.
So if I'm not feeling that sense of pride, what can I do?
Don't just complain about it. Start a conversation with your coworkers, your manager, even HR. Share this research we've been talking about.
Show them how investing in real CSR can boost morale and keep employees around.
Exactly. Suggest ways to make your company's efforts more transparent, more aligned with their values, and more engaging for everyone.
Like maybe plan a team volunteering day or start a discussion about sustainability.
Yeah, great ideas. Even small things can have a ripple effect. Remember, companies are made up of people, and every single one of us can influence the culture and values.
I love that it's so empowering.
It is. It's like we've got this secret decoder ring to help us find work that's more meaningful and fulfilling.
And create a better world too, right?
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about making money or keeping employees happy. It's about making sure businesses operate ethically and responsibly for the benefit of everyone and the planet.
This has been such a great conversation. We've covered so much. From understanding what perceived CSR even is to, how it affects employees and businesses, and what we can all do to make a difference.
It's been a fascinating journey.
To all our listeners out there, remember, you have a choice. You can choose where you work, and you can push for change within your own company. Look for companies that truly care about their employees, their communities, and the environment.
And don't be afraid to speak up. Share your ideas. Help create a world where businesses are a force for good.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring